everybody, it's Debbie here. Welcome back to My Crafty Den. So as promised, I am going to show you how I am creating a fall flower arrangement piece as a gift for a fellow worker. So the first, I'll tell you what you're going to need, or what I'm using anyway. So I've got one of these square glass containers from Dollarama, and I have taken some rubbing alcohol and a cloth, and I've cleaned the outside of this really, really well. That's why I don't want to touch the outside right now. I have my paintbrush, and I have my homemade chalky paint. And notice how wet that is, because the water sits and floats on top after this sets for a while. So yeah, every time you use this, you have to stir it really, really well. And I'm going to use a napkin. I need some cling wrap. I'm going to use my Mod Podge. And so you don't have to have a great big thing of Mod Podge like this. You can get Mod Podge at the dollar store, the small bottle. You can get, instead of making your own, you can buy some white chalk paint in little bottles as well. You don't have to have a great big thing like this. A small one will do. You can use a foam disposable brush. I happen to like this brush, so I've been using it for a long, long time. I've had it for many years, and I take care of it. And so I think, oh, and you might need your scissors. That's it. I think that's all you'll need if you would like to recreate this, plus what you're going to use for your arrangement. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to give this jar a base coat of chalky paint. So I'm going to take my paintbrush out, put my hand inside the jar so that I don't touch my work surface, and I am going to use this chalky paint. And I'm just going to put it on like this. Just right up to the edge. And I don't have to go over the top. So without touching the sides, because that's what I want, I'm going to go like this around my corner. And this time I have covered my work surface. I'm just using a cereal box cut open and laid down. The other day I didn't cover my work surface and left it a little longer, and I had to scrub pretty good to get the chalky paint off. So yeah, I think it's because I have the heat on in here now, so with the heat, the air is a little bit drier and it dries a little faster. It wasn't drying that fast in the summer. There. And you want to go all the way around. And this is going to give your container, if it's glass, a nice surface for that napkin, but it's also going to do something else. It's going to make this surface a little opaque so that you don't lose the color in the napkin. So while I'm waiting for this to dry, move the bag out of the way, I'm going to separate my napkin, because if you're going to use Mod Podge with a napkin, you have to make sure, so I'm just going to lick my fingers. You can use something to make them wet if you don't like licking your fingers. Pull apart the pieces of the napkin and separate them like this until this is only a 2-ply napkin. I like those ones better, actually. They separate better until you have only one piece of the tissue like this, and it has to be the piece with your print on it. So that's done there, and I am going to speed this up a little bit with my heat tool. I'm going to take that off because it's a little thick right there. There, and I'll be right back. All right, so the first layer is dry, and see how thin I put it on? It just dried in just a couple minutes with my heat tool, just, you know, not sitting in one place, but just going back and forth with it. So I'm going to do another coat. This time I'm going to go this way. And this one will probably be a little bit thicker. So I want this to be nice and opaque. And now the reason for the chalk paint is because the chalk paint will stick to the jar or the container or whatever that you're using. And it'll give me a nice neutral light colored background to put my napkin down on. And if you saw the other Mod Podge projects that I did where I didn't paint the background, you lose, when you Mod Podge it down, the tissue becomes a little bit see-through. And when that happens, if you don't have a background for your light areas to set on, then they lose their color. The color kind of fades away from the white. But I want this background to show up because I love that little bit of wood grain look. And so I'm prepping the jar to make sure that it does. There, so I'm sure that that will be enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just need that coat. So I'm going to put this back in its bag. So now this, to put it away until the next time, I am just going to take a baby wipe. And I've learned this from doing it the wrong way. So I'm going to take a baby wipe and I am going to put it on here and I'm going to clean this all off. And the reason for that is this stuff works like a really, really strong paste. You could use this stuff for gesso. This would make a good gesso, actually, because it gives tooth, which is what you want gesso to do. And there. But it will seal the jar tight. If I put the lid on, even with this plastic lid, if I put the lid on and the lid and the jar aren't clean, I can't get the lid off again. So put that on, seal it tight, set it back somewhere, and forget about it till the next time. So I'm just going to wait for this to dry, maybe an hour. I'll be back and I'll show you how to put the napkin on here. So I am going to take my napkin. You can use whatever napkin that you like. And I am going to cut it in 4 because I'm going to need a quarter of this napkin for each side. There. So I have the 4. Now, I'm going to take, this is dry to the touch. I'm going to take my Mod Podge, which I have put, if you remember the last time I did a little project using Mod Podge, I put a little bit into this container and put the lid on when I was done. And I'm pretty sure it's still fine. And my brush has been sitting here for 2-3 days. It's still wet. And likewise, you know, I like to use the same brushes as often as I can. But if you're only doing projects once in a while, the disposable kind are absolutely fine. So I'm going to take this and put a nice even coat around the edge and all over this. Make sure you get right to the bottom because you don't want it to look unfinished when it's sitting on your tray or table or wherever you're going to put this. So I've got, there's a little bit right there that I could use a little bit more. There. So I'm going to take my napkin and I think I decided, I wonder if that would look better. I think I like it so that it looks like the leaves are falling down, kind of. I think I like that. So what I'm going to do so that I don't tear my napkin is I'm going to get myself a piece of my cling wrap. Now, I learned a lot of this from watching. If you're interested in a lot of napkin decoupage projects, go follow Patio Elf, P-A-T-I-O, Elf, E-L-F, on YouTube, because that's her thing. And almost everything that I learned about doing this, I have learned from her videos. She is just remarkable, and she does projects on almost any kind of surface. It's absolutely fabulous, some of the stuff that she does. And she does it for outdoor use too. And she actually goes to the trouble of buying, you know, of using a napkin. There is a special napkin decoupage that you can use. So that it soaks through the napkin. So I'm flipping my paper over to pull this good and tight. Get it right down, no wrinkles, or as few wrinkles as possible. So I'm going to take that piece and I'm going to put it over there. And then I am just going to gently tear this away down this corner like that. And I'm going to leave the bottom because I don't want it to tear up by accident. If this tears over a little bit, it's okay because the other napkin's going to wrap over top of it. So I'm just going to get rid of my two side pieces. I'm going to take my scissors and cut them off like that, just like that. And then I'm going to turn this jar or this container over like that, and just make sure this edge is sealed down really good. I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to do that and work my way around the jar, and then I'll be back. And this is almost dry. Some of the corners are a bit wet still, so I'm just going to have to be careful with them. But I wanted to show you that once this dries, then you can pull this extra off like this, no problem. But what I'm going to do is, once again, I use these for a lot, these nail files. I'm going to take my nail file, I'm going to put it on my corner like this, on my edge, and I'm going to go down away from where I want the paper to stay. Because if you go up like this, you'll peel the paper up. So I want to go down like this. And there, see that? That'll take it off that bottom edge. Nice straight line. This one's better. These nail files have all different grits on them. Yeah, that's better. This one's got a heavy grit. So it just takes it off in a nice straight line. See that? There. That's good. Clean that bottom up a little bit. Get rid of some of this. And set it down. Whoa, it's heavy. So I'm going to do the same thing around the top. But I'm going to be really careful here because this is where it's going to show. So I'm just going to take it and push into the center of the container. Just on the edge and then push in. And I'm going to go around. You take care on the corners because remember you've overlapped there and it's a little bit thicker. Yeah. So there, so you have this nice vase. Now look at that. Isn't that pretty? So if you'll notice, I didn't line it up in the exact same spot. I've tried to get this leaf and this wheat in each one, but on this one I've got the wheat up in center and so I stayed in that part so that it was pretty much the same going around, but not exactly the same alignment. So what I'm going to do next to finish this container off is, where's my Mod Podge brush again? I'm going to get it back out. And I think this is dry enough to go over without tearing the napkins. So I am going to put a thin coat of, I actually think I might water this down a little wee bit. And I mean just a little bit. Just a drip. So I just put a squirt in there and I'm going to stir it up. Because this coat doesn't have to be really, really thick. This Mod Podge is getting thick anyway. I'll never buy a big jar like that again because I'm not even halfway through it and I've had it about a year. Yeah, because I mean, this isn't what I do all the time. I just use it sometimes. So I'll just go with the little dollar store bottles. This has been thickening up over time with me opening the lid over and over and over again. So I'm going to take the Mod Podge and I'm going to put a kind of a sealing coat on here. Like that. And if you remember the purple flowered mason jar that I made, and I made it glitter, that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to add some glitter. So I have that same glitter from the dollar store, or Dollar Tree, I believe it was Dollar Tree. I taped it up. I'm just going to get my scissors, I believe, and cut this again, cut it open. Because I just put a piece of tape over the open corner so that it wouldn't spill out. But I got, I think there's 6 of these little packets of glitter stapled onto a card, and they hang at Dollar Tree. I think they're maybe not at Dollar Tree anymore because they're Forever in Time. But I am going to very, very, very lightly sprinkle this glitter on top of my sealing coat. Just a little bit. Because I don't want it to be spectacularly glittery. I just want it to have just catch the light a little bit, you know, at the odd time. So I'm going to work my way around the jar doing that. So, yeah, this is, I hope she likes this when it's done. I'll take it to work with me tomorrow, and I'm not sure when she'll be in again. She only works part-time, so this is a gift. Like I said before, I've done a tray for her, and I thought this would just look really nice on top of that little tray. So I'm going to do this side and sprinkle a little glitter. I don't even know if you can see that coming out of there on the camera, but it's a really, really fine glitter. One of the nicest glitters that I've worked with. But if you can get a hold of, now I think Patio Elf on her YouTube channel, I think she has a store where you can buy it. I'm not sure. But I think you can order, or through a link from her, you can order the napkin Mod Podge, and you can order the glass glitter. And glass glitter is so, so sparkly. But like I said, I don't do these all the time, so I'm not feeling the need, but oh, that's lots there. A little bit down in this corner. Yeah, this is going to be pretty, I think, when it's done. So yeah, doing Mod Podge, you can Mod Podge napkins onto glass. You can Mod Podge them onto plastic. So you could take the cheap green plastic flower pots, you know, the cheap plastic flower pots that you get at the store and at Dollarama and Dollar Tree and whatever. They would make great bases for a napkin project to do them up. And what else could you do? Oh, I've got a project coming up. Now this is something that I did years ago. I made a bunch and gave them to people out as Christmas gifts. And I don't even think I know those people anymore. Different job, I guess, and different, but look at that. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and I'll finish the vase, and then I'll finish the flower arrangement and show you what I've got. So I've let this dry. I took it out into the other room where my wood stove is, and let it dry naturally. It took about an hour and a half, but look at how subtle the sparkle is. Isn't it pretty? So what I'm going to do next is I've taken a piece of this floral foam and cut a chunk to fit right in the bottom here. But I'm going to nip off the corners like this so it'll be easier to slide the stems in. So I'm just going to do that so it's kind of rounded on the top. And I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to put a nice big glob in the bottom because I'd like this to stick down so that you can't bump this. I've found that with low arrangements, you just touch them and they fall out because the stems aren't long enough to weigh down the flowers. And these stems are tiny compared to these nice big flowers. So what I'm going to do is I've got four of these, I believe. So I'm going to put one in each corner. Then I'm going to fill it in with the smaller pieces. So let's see, these are all about the same length. See if they can go in like this. So I'm going to kind of point it towards the center like that. And I want it a little bit, get that back down in there. I want it a little bit smaller than that. So I've lost my nippers, my little wire nippers. I can't find them anywhere. So what I'm going to do is just cut that. I basically just score it with my scissors and then cut that off. So I'm going to push that down because I want it to be right down like this. So I'm going to do the same thing with all of these. I'm going to cut a little bit off. This one's not bending as easily. There. Got to break the there. Get that down in there. There. Let's get this in. Put this one in. There. And then this one. So it's going to be a really simple little arrangement because it's a low one. And these are pretty big flowers. Come on. And put that right down in there. Oops, in there. And I also have this pretty pick that I want to put up here. like that. So I'm going to take this one and put it on this side. Get it in there. Why won't that stick in there? I'm bumping into something. I gotta be able to see. There. So that one there and that one there. They're pretty little accents, these little pumpkins or squashes or whatever they're supposed to be. And then I just have these berries, which I think will look really pretty like that. There. So isn't that pretty? Such a nice floral arrangement. Now, so you can leave it, like I have this up a little wee bit at the back. You can bend these flowers a little bit like that, or you can kind of turn them out a little bit with the wire, using them, and push them down in a little bit further like the other ones, so that this is pretty from both the front and the back. But right now I really like it like this. And I have this tray that I did, which I think is so pretty. And I think that that will sit on that tray and just be stunning. So what do y'all think? Here, let me see. On my messy desk, eh? So that's how it's gonna go. And I'll take a few pictures, and that's it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Yeah, a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment, share, and by all means, if you're not already, subscribe. So bye-bye for now, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.